Break his arm or the world splits? Jocks didn't hear his own roar. The mountain heard it. The arena was a mile-wide crater of glass. Heat swam like a mirage. He gripped a wrist the size of a tree trunk and felt bone, not rock, under that sky-blue skin. The god's pupils were islands. The god smiled, human, soft, brave. They were knotted over a black anvil that had fallen from space. The rules were simple, first to pin or the plates of Arlatir. Old law, old dare. He had sworn the challenge to save his city in the valley. He could feel the city in his ribs. He could feel Myra there too. Her laugh. Her cough. He pushed. The god pushed back. Tectonics groaned in the ground like a wounded whale. Whole mountains leaned. Wind sheared. Dust skinned his face. Don't think. Hold, he told himself. He kept his eyes on the god's eyes. He let the rest blur. His arm burned white. His shoulder shook. His teeth clicked. The world was noise, and under it, a whisper, when or everyone he loved fell into dark. The god's breath blew hot. It smelled like rain and ashes. You bleed for them, the god said. Cute, Jock swallowed. And you pretend you rule them. I do not pretend. The god drove his hand down an inch. The anvil screamed. The crater's rim cracked. A red line raced toward the valley. Think small, Jocks told himself. Think finger. Think knuckle. He had a trick, but he wasn't sure it would work. Not against the planet's keeper. Not under the taboo. No metal, no machines. No spells named aloud. That was the old warning. Do not bring a made thing to the god's grip. He'd come empty almost. He had only the string at his neck. A thread with a bead like dull glass. His mother's bead. A charm from a market stall that never broke, no matter how hard he threw it. She had said, when your hand fails, this will remember how to hold. The god's eyes dipped to the bead once. Then the god laughed. You brought an old memory to a death oath, sweet. Jocks twisted his wrist and felt something hidden wake. The bead cooled. His skin tingled. He did not pull. He anchored. That was the trick, not force, but place. He set his will where the planet kept its center. He pictured the place under all rivers, under all fire. The place that never slid. He dropped his weight into that idea and felt the ground answer. His arm steadied. The god's arm slipped. The god blinked. The sky blinked with him. Cheater, the god panted. Jocks almost laughed and almost cried. Says the mountain that breathes. They locked there, shaking. Every breath from him sent ripples through sand. Every blink of the god made clouds jump. The crowd on the rim thousands fell quiet. Even the hawks circled slower, like they feared the air would be taken away. He thought of Myra's voice, thin from illness. Win, idiot. Then come home. He thought of the stories he grew on. The forbidden's trick. The anchor way. No one taught it. No one had to. Some people were born knowing they could find the still point in anything. But the law said, never anchor against a god. Your heart will pay the price. His heart stuttered. A pain like a nail slid under his ribs. The god smiled wider. You know the rule? The god said. Anchor me and your years unravel. Better mine than hers, Jock said. He pushed again. The anvil sank a hair. The planet moaned. A river leapt its bed and ran uphill. The god squinted, as if looking far away, and that was when Jocks felt it. Not just warning, not just pain. A second pulse, under his own, slow, vast. It wasn't the god's, it wasn't the planet's plates. It was the bead, midpoint, twist. The charm wasn't a charm. It pulsed like a seed. It pulled like a tide. It wasn't remembering how to hold something inside it was holding him. His fingers chilled. His elbow locked in place, clean and smooth. His bones hummed like wires. He realized with an odd little laugh in his head that he wasn't anchoring the god. He was the one being anchored. By what? Where did you get that? The god asked, and for the first time there was fear in the voice. My mother, Jock said. What was her name? He bit down. Names were doors. Why? The god's throat worked. A blue vein trembled, because if she wore that bead, she didn't buy it. She was chosen, and if she gave it to you, then the planet did not choose me. The ground lurched. The crowd screamed. A spire folded like clay. Jocks tasted iron and old rain. He pushed again and watched the god's wrist dip and dip and dip. The god snarled, but the snarl shook. Power slipped. Stop, the god whispered. You don't know who is holding you, then tell me. His voice cracked. He wasn't sure he wanted to know. Part of him did. Part of him only cared about the valley and a bedroom with a chipped bowl and Myra's breath easing. The god leaned close. His breath steamed Jocks's hair. There's a name we do not say. The first keeper. The one before gods. The one that made the first anvil fall. She left pieces, seeds, anchors. When the world needs a spine, one wakes. That bead is not a trinket. It is a bone of the first. Jocks's head rang. He wanted to throw the bead away. He wanted to press it into his palm and never let go. So I'm not cheating, he said. She's helping. She is binding you, the god said. She will not let go until the world stops looking like you. Jocks didn't understand the last words. He didn't want to. He pushed. His breath broke into pieces. The god's giant hand hit the anvil and skidded. The shock cracked the rim. The red line toward the valley halted. For a heartbeat, all held, the god screamed. The scream shook the clouds into snow. He tore his knuckles off the anvil, even as his wrist was pinned. He opened his hand, and in that empty palm, light spun. Then I surrender the mask, he said hoarsely. His shape blew away like dust, and what sat across Jocks was not a man of mountains, but a thin woman with ash hair and eyes like wet stone. She was small. She was shaking. Myra? Jocks said before he could stop himself. The woman flinched. Not her, but her echo. I came because your city prayed with her name. I wore the god to test you. You won. But the bead woke the first, and now she is coming. She never likes her chosen to share. Something moved behind Jocks, not a footstep. A decision. The sun dimmed, not with cloud, but with attention. The anvil rang once by itself. In the new quiet, the small woman leaned close and whispered, If you stay anchored, you'll be hers by sundown. He turned his head, slowly, his arm still pinned the god. That wasn't. The crater's glass showed a shadow at his back. It had his shape. It did not move when he moved. His heart nailed him again. The bead grew colder. The shadow lifted its hand, and, from behind him, it wrapped its fingers over his, palm to palm, and squeezed like a mother taking a child to cross a fast road. Jocks! A voice said from the shadow, and the name was a mercy and a threat. Come home. He didn't know whose home that meant. He didn't know if the planet had just asked him to be its spine. He remembered Myra. He remembered her cough easing if rain came at night. He remembered the first story his mother ever told. The one about the woman who held a world and forgot her own face. Jocks took a breath that shook, and did not look away from the hand over his. Let go, he told the bead. Please. It did not. The shadow squeezed tighter, and the valley's bells began to ring by themselves. Want the next chapter before the world chooses him? Tap follow so you don't miss part 2.